Well, let's begin speaking of Donald Trump because he was at Davos there, and his speech in Switzerland, a speech that seems to be marked by sharp warnings, tough talk with the allies, and a clear message of America first. Right from Greenland to Europe, Trump pulled no punches, reigniting the debates over the U.S. leadership, where President Trump has now called for immediate negotiations to acquire Greenland, claiming that only the U.S. can secure it, but said that force will not be used. His remarks, meanwhile, have sparked opposition from Europe, Canada, and from the NATO allies who have urged diplomacy and has warned of crisis in relations.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. I want to discuss how we've achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good. But it's not heading in the right direction.
As far as his thorough attacks are concerned, because he seems to be wishing well for Europe, his friends, as far as the allies in the NATO is concerned, but still sticking with his demand to acquire Greenland, saying that if you remove, we will remember. So as far as when it comes to on Europe is concerned, his statement is that it is not headed in the right direction, according to President Trump. On Greenland, saying that no one can secure Greenland other than the U.S. and it needs to counter the presence of China and Russia in the Arctic region. On NATO, he says that U.S. has been treated very badly by NATO, and if they agree to the Greenland demand, or else if you remove, then we will remember that. However, giving that assurance, saying that this is a big statement because I don't need to use force on acquiring or on the occupation of Greenland. Now, as far as Russia-Ukraine war is concerned, where he says that Putin wouldn't have started the war if he was the president, something that he has maintained the stand as far as the time that he became the president. And on Venezuela issue, because now he's the acting president, as he is declared, of Venezuela, saying that they'll make more money in 6 months than in the last 20 years. But speaking of what he also wants to acquire the 51st state of United States on Canada, saying that Canada is functioning because we give them freebies and they must be grateful to the United States of America. But on the contentious issue, as far as the invitation that was extended for a G7 in Paris, and the decline and the refusal that came in from President Trump was on the offer from President Macron, saying that I told him that I'm putting 25% tariff and 100% on the wines and champagnes that come in from France. But Trump seems to be slamming NATO ally Denmark completely to be as ungrateful for the United States, helping them secure Greenland after World War II. He's giving them a subtle reminder.
So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. They'll be making more money. They've made it a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years.
Now, if you thought that Donald Trump's obsession with the takeover of Greenland and Venezuela is, that's it, he's eyeing these two areas, well, you're wrong. Because he now seems to have set his sights on a new target, which is the Shagosh in the Indian Ocean. Now, Trump has now hit out at his ally, which is the UK, over the deal that would actually give Mauritius the ownership of the area, which comprises of nearly 60 islands. So let's get you as far as a better understanding on how it is globally paced, because there is the United States, and it seems to be now eyeing here as far as when it comes to Mauritius is concerned. The new target, the new target, which is the Shagosh in the Indian Ocean, the relevance that we are looking at as far as it hosts the Diego Garcia, which is a key U.S. military base. Now, the strategic hub that is now concerned, it is expected to monitor China, Middle East and the sea lanes, and controls vital Indian Ocean trade and security routes. Now, as far as India is concerned, should we be concerned as far as this direct impact that could also have on India's maritime security, as far as the U.S. military in positioning in India's backyard may affect India's strategic autonomy? And there is, of course, when it comes to the China factor, the balance of power in the region as far as the Indian Ocean region is concerned, that may also be affected. Let's, in the meantime, talk about this big climb down that is now coming in from President Trump over the Greenland issue, because he has been obsessed with Greenland. But now that he has announced that he was scrapping his planned tariffs on 8 European nations in an effort to force U.S. control over Greenland. Now, this is a big development there, and he seems to be pulling a dramatic reversal where there is no telling with President Trump. His statements have been quite unprecedented and unpredictable. Now, this is a post on social media where Trump says that he has agreed with the head of NATO on a framework of future deal on Arctic security, potentially diffusing tensions that had far-reaching geopolitical implications. He says that additional discussions on Greenland were being held concerning the Golden Dome missile defense program, and for the first time, it will put U.S. weapons in space. However, now U.S. has now halted Europe tariff plan, and these tariffs have now been scrapped from the 1st of February. And he now seems to be linking the move to NATO and understanding when it comes to this Golden Dome talks that have been happening on Greenland. And this seems to be the issue that Donald Trump now seems to be de-escalating as far as when it comes to Greenland and his obsession to occupy the island. Let's, in the meantime, take a look of his statement there, because he had already announced that all of the countries who are also part of the NATO and are allies of the US will be faced with tariffs. And this seems to be a joint statement that was issued by multiple heads of the European countries as well, that they were denouncing the move on part of the President of the United States. Now, there seems to be a pushback on part of Donald Trump, saying that based on a very productive meeting that I had with the Secretary General of NATO, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. The solution, if consummated, will be great for the United States of America and all NATO nations. And based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect from the 1st of February. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland, and further information will be made available as discussions are in progress. And Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and various others, as needed, will be responsible for the negotiations, and they will report directly to me. Thank you for your attention. As far as this issue now is concerned, we're looking at the withdrawal there. So, Rishabh, let's get in a word from you. Rishabh, how do we understand what is this Golden Dome plan that President Trump seems to be talking about? How there is, there is slight relief that is now coming in for the NATO allies. The tariffs that were supposed to come into effect from the 1st of February have now been scrapped.
Well, Amita, definitely. See, one thing the advisors have been successful in to Donald Trump is to tell him that the way things are unfolding within NATO needs to be calmed down. We have heard it from France, we have heard it from Germany, we have heard it from UK, we have heard it from Canada, European Union and other NATO alliances, including Denmark, that how they are very uncomfortable with whole Greenland pitch that Washington is making. And the way, anti-NATO rhetoric has been coming in from White House and especially Donald Trump, that is something that needs to stop. And that's why we heard yesterday, while Donald Trump kept retaliating why he wants Greenland and how much he wants Greenland, but there was also a sense that NATO is important and US is not going to move away from NATO. Now that this whole Golden Dome that is being talked about, this is in a way a sugar-coated demand that Donald Trump is making, that give us Greenland, we'll make it
but does
secured.
It mean that his
for
Greenland, obsession is over, because he now seems to be linking the move to NATO, saying that there is an understanding that has now been built. The Golden Dome, talks are on, and this seems that the discussions will continue as far as J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are expected to lead the talks, and Witkoff has also been named as a negotiator. Rishabh, for the moment, thank you very much for joining in. Let's, in the meantime, talk about how U.S. President has tried to justify his bid to occupy Greenland by citing concerns regarding security and the presence and the growing presence of China and Russia in the Arctic region. But can the same formula be used by India when it comes to dealing with Pakistan, a terror state, and a clear established security threat that it continues to be for India? Well, Group Editor-in-Chief Navika Kumar has asked the same question to U.S. Ambassador to Poland, Thomas Rose, and Trump's envoy, saying that India is quite capable when it comes to defending itself and its interests.
What you said about, all the countries that have created trouble for America, well, for India, it's been Pakistan. Same formula, should it apply?
Well, I'm not going to answer a hypothetical like that. I will say this: India is very capable of defending yourself. You have defended yourself. You'll continue to do that. India has interests, and India will see to it that she protects her interests. But again, these are questions far better asked of our magnificent ambassador, Ambassador Sergio Gore, a brilliant young man. I say a young man because I'm an old man. He's not that young. But India is extremely fortunate to have him. And I think your relationship, our relationship, the U.S.-India relationship will flourish with Ambassador Gore in New Delhi.
Well, those were the international updates we are tracking for you. Let's shift focus and talk about when it comes to this call for eradication of Sanatan.